Now, while the president is out, a couple of things that happened as well. The Zamfara State Police Command says an object suspected to be an IED, that's an improvised explosive device, allegedly planted by unknown persons, exploded along the Magamu-Donsalda Road at the Maikogo village in Maru local government area of the state. The explosion reportedly blew off a trailer, rendering it beyond recognition, and claimed the lives of some persons, undisclosed number of persons, including motorcycle riders who were at the vicinity at the time of the incident. According to the police spokesperson in Kwara State, the command received a report of the tragic incident yesterday, that's December the 27th, I should say, at about 2:30 p.m. Nigerian time. The command has now commenced preliminary investigation into the incident, while relevant units, including explosive experts, are on ground to assess the situation. So whilst we are trying to deal with what we're trying to deal with, in quick succession, in about a week or days, if I would say, it has moved from just kidnapping and abductions, as we call it, from attacks now to using IEDs. There was a time the IED incident was all over the place. It looked like that went away, but it looks like there's a resurgence of use of IEDs. Now, on Friday, when I had some of my guests here, we're talking about the strike by the United States government. Donald Trump has said he will strike if the government doesn't do anything. Well, he struck in collaboration with the government of Nigeria. The American government were the ones to tell us exactly what happened. Then we had a statement from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. But as of that day, we did not have details or some specifics as to what had played out. Even till now, we don't have a clear damage assessment. But let me tell you what we have. If my producer can put it up, as far as that incident is concerned, or that strike is concerned. First, we now know that it happened around the Bounty Forest axis in Tangasa local government area of Sokoto State. We were talking about Jabo, but that's not the position. Now, they define the area as a major Islamic state terrorist enclaves used as assembly and staging grounds for foreign ISIS elements to infiltrate Nigeria. That's exactly when it happened, December the 25th. At about 1 hour, 30 minutes, they struck. If we move to the next slide, but for the Americans, it was Christmas Day. They launched from the maritime platform domiciled in the Gulf of Guinea. The munitions that were used, because I know my guest was asking that day, so 16 GPS-guided precision munitions deployed using MQ-9 Reaper unmanned aerial platforms. They said the debris expanded fell in Jabon, Tamboa local government area of Sokoto and Inofa in Kwara State near the premises of a hotel. So for those persons who saw it, that's exactly it is. So if we go to the next one, let's bring your number of terrorists killed. We're still not sure. Also, the munition of the terrorists that were destroyed, we're not sure. But this is a postscript that the strike was approved by President Tinubu, with Nigeria's military's involvement and supervised by the Ministers of Defense, Foreign Affairs, and the CDS. Let me bring you my guests. It's a known face, known voice, Mr. Sowunmi from Mutumba. Sowunmi, the convener of the Alternative, former spokesperson of the former vice president during the campaigns, former governorship aspirant in the 2023 governorship election in Ondo State. Otumba, thank you so much for coming on the program.
In Ogun State.
In Ogun State?
Yeah.
What state did I call?
You called Ondo, but it's okay. Merry Christmas, bro. Merry Christmas.
Good to see you. Compliments
nice to see you. You're looking good, though.
And you're looking better.
Okay.
Okay, let's talk about what has been on the mind of people. I did read a lot of commentaries. You know, when these things happen, a lot of people talk. In fact, it looks like we needed help because of what we're dealing with. Now help came. It's like we're more divided after the help came. Who will give us the help? I know certain Islamic clerics were saying, no, it shouldn't be America. The framing is a problem for the Islamic community for calling it rescue of Christians or, you know, saving Christians from persecution. And I remember, I think I read a comment that stand to be corrected from the Minister of Aviation when he said, like, your house is on fire. It doesn't matter who is coming to help. Issues of privacy is not important at that time. Perhaps he was speaking to the issue of sovereignty. But what do you make of this entire strike by the United States government?
Well, thank you very much. What was Nigeria expecting the world to do? Was the world to accept the narrative, the optics of consistent, constant criminality, of terrorist coloration and classification all over our country? If you recall, I've been in the State Department a couple of times, and I've just come back from America. Meetings with Riley Moore, meetings with very senior members of the Trump administration, even before the strike. I have been very worried, and I have been trying very hard to push, even within the country, that we're better off just calling it criminality without ethnicizing it or putting a target on the back of people. For when they were calling it Islamic terrorism, I kept saying, the World CIA fact book says we have about 15 million people that are classified as purely ethnic Fulanis. And all 50 million of them cannot be involved in this. When they started saying, we're going to fight for the Christians and all of that, I get that, because they're Christians. But the facts on the matter is that this terrorism is affecting everybody, including the Muslims, especially the people within the theater of active incidents, the Northwest, and to some extent, the Katsina corridor of the Northeast, and to some extent, the Katsina corridor of the Northwest. That we have issues in the Delta and the Plateau, of course, because the people that live around that place could be considered to be predominantly Christian. Any activity that takes place there may look that way. And when people who are radicalized scream very secret, noble words, Allahu Akbar and all of that, anybody that is not a Nigerian, who does not understand the unique relationship that the Christians and the Muslims have in peaceful areas and under peaceful circumstances, may mischaracterize it. But it wouldn't matter whether it was a mischaracterization or it was not a mischaracterization. Essentially, the world could not have been watching us struggle with this thing for the length of years we've been struggling. Now, I felt that the world came in a little bit too late. The security resource available to the world suggests that they have eyes in the skies already. And many countries have that capability. So you must have to thank the United States that when the chips were really down, Britain, who should ordinarily have bigger interest because they coupled this country together, didn't say anything. The Chinese, who have also been coming in here to do a lot of activities that bigger corporations, said nothing. America said something. And Donald Trump said, this is getting too much, we're going to do something. Thankfully, he didn't just come into the country without some conversations, let me put it that way, with our own security infrastructure. Otherwise, if they had stayed in the Gulf of Guinea and fired those rockets in the direction that they fired them and didn't say anything to the Nigerian government and to the Nigerian people, what military capability do we even have for deterrence? We'll just have been screaming. We're probably talking about United Nations, which is already like a weak organization. So I think that for us that are the Nigerians, both the Muslims, the Christians and all that, it's not a happy moment for me, because I don't believe that the loss of even the terrorists is a good thing. When our citizens have somehow been behaving in a certain manner, it's almost like you're watching your delinquent children getting killed. And no matter how, a leader in the country will never be happy, just as the parents will not be happy, however a delinquent child is. So long and short, I was clear. We thank them for the concern, at least elevating it to a level where some serious activities are. But I was also very firm in saying that you need to be careful that technology doesn't fail. You need to be careful that everything is done that respects our sovereignty. And I think all in all, we can say thank you to the United States of America, because should we have been left to be struggling with this crisis forever and ever without somebody saying enough now?
There is another kind of battle that is ongoing, and that has to do with the battle of framing that you talked about. And I want you to speak to the nuances around it. That's what I like to call it. On one hand, there is Muslim community not comfortable with the statement of coming to save Christians. Whether that is a valid argument or not, that's been debated as to alleged genocide. Now, that's on one hand I would like you to speak to, because it has not gone away. It doesn't look like it's going away. How far it will help in destroying these criminals is another kettle of fish altogether. The second part has to do with the statement released by the United States President. It says, at my direction as Commander-in-Chief, he was the first to give us an idea of what had happened. And then Pitexeg also gave us an idea of what has happened before we heard from our own government. People are saying that there's a problem with that. People are questioning the accountability of government to its people. Why is it that the United States government was the one that told us about a strike on our soil? Do you see any problem with that, or we're just being too sensitive?
We're a chatty people, and we're quite critical as Nigerians. Doesn't matter who's sitting on the chair, we're very critical. But that's who we are. Perhaps you can say that we're Republican by nature, and therefore we don't just allow things to go. We want to engage it. But the question that most people who are sober and sane need to ask is that, is it realistic that an intel that will involve that type of deployment would have been put on the internet before the action?
No, they are talking about the announcement after it had happened.
Those who control the levers of the trigger are the ones who will have the technological capability to see precisely what had happened. And if they wish to, if you like, boast, if you like, show that when they bluff or when they talk, they're not bluffing, it's not unusual for them to be the first to say something. Because if I shoot a gun, and I know the type of gun I shot, and you are just aware that I'm going to help you shoot a gun, you want to wait until you have something that is a bit concrete, one. Two, any government will be very sensitive and careful to get all the intel back. Was there civilian damage? Have we created a mess? Are there unintended consequences before they talk? And when it was clear that none of that had happened, of course, those who will go there will have to do what they call the reverse logistics of the war deployment.
But is that a tenable argument? Because I read there, it said, under the supervision of the Ministry of Defense, Foreign Affairs, and the CDS.
You should know that when words are couched to explain this kinds of thing, it's not exactly going to be as robust in adjective as it could normally be after the event. For instance, if they believe that insurgents are moving around our country and our capability to degrade them is a little bit limited, and there's suspicion that some elements in our military may be compromised, do you really think they're going to give all of the strategy and all of the pre-activity to the extent of telling them that we're going to do something, we're planning to do something, this is the kind of thing we're thinking? They will give such vague information. But they will be too careful not to allow the day of operation action to be compromised by a leak. So that could be that. The other thing is that the type of instruments that are used is not the kind of instrument that any of us, any of the sub-Saharan African country even have. These equipments, this, armaments are, first of all, you can't buy them on the open market. Then even if you wanted to pay for them, you need permission to be able to buy. Then they are like assets of certain nations that they keep close to their chest. So this information, Nigerians don't need to be too angry that the leaders, however careless or not careless they may be, do not have too much information, because that's the style of that country that is driving this. When they wanted to do an activity in Kuwait, you think they called the Kuwaiti government and said, okay, we're going to come tomorrow and start doing papa. They're the same ones who will do it, and they're the same ones who will release intel. But I can guarantee you, I know the new Minister of Defense very well, and I trust his capability and his competence. They would have started doing their own mapping of the space and looking at precisely what happened. It's almost like someone is coming to do you help that you can't afford to say you don't want, but you don't have all of the levers of control to tell him to what extent, what to do. No leader will be happy that it got to this, but hey, it has gotten to this. The world could not have left us to be waking up every morning, slicing people, jumping into church, whatever the thing that they're complaining about. And when people say, they're talking about Christians. If a Nigerian were to talk about it, we come from an environment where all the faiths, including the people who don't even believe in any of the faiths or pray, so we can normalize the conversation. But when you talk in an environment that is almost purely, if you like, Christian, they will say it the way they, but hey, they are very, the Donald Trump presidency is big on words, and is also big on the bravado of words.
Yeah, of course.
And that can also be responsible for that. You can't pin the tongue of the president like Trump. If he says, we went after this scum, some other leaders will not even use such a word, but that's who he is, and that's the way the cookie crumble. We have to manage that.
At the end of the day, there's a lot I want to deal with you within the time we have. So let me jump to the next one.
Which is?
This one has to do, what is going on is help from outside. How far-reaching it is another
I have a feeling, because I have a bit, I know, there will be, this is not a one-off. It's not a one-off. You don't bring that kind of equipment, that kind of thing to the Gulf because you want to come and start playing games. The world as a whole, the geopolitics of the world, forget about all the silly things that people are saying they want to take your mineral resources. No. It's gotten to the point where it's become offensive to people. They can't sleep well at night. And it is made worse by elements of our diaspora community. I was at an engagement there, and I saw elements of the Nigerian diaspora community, some of them, which I don't want to bother classifying what tribe or what ethnic group. But I was sad that it did not prick them, that it was their fellow Africans, fellow Nigerians, that they were trying to, put a target on their back. But hey, we were careless on the inside. We have not managed diversity as well as we should. We have not been firm in saying that certain bigotry and certain careless rhetoric that, irritates the numerous tribe should not be allowed. And therefore, when you go to other countries and you pay lobbyists to shout up and down the world, screaming about your country in a manner that you don't even remember that, hey, after all said and done, these are our brothers and sisters. You want to understand that the work has to be done on the inside. If we had been a country that had used its own intelligence capability well, you can't have the DSS, the NIA, and such intelligence capability, and the only thing they'll be doing is following female people carrying their bag over the place when we're having this kind of problem. It was our responsibility.
Which is bringing me...
Let me learn this story. It was our responsibility on the inside to have fixed this problem. And when it became clear to everybody that it's not going away, then we no longer have too much of a choice when people are coming to help us.
No matter
we can only say, go easy here, be careful of our civilians, ensure that you are careful with our sovereignty, whatever that means, carry our president or our government along, and ensure that you guys are in a handshake.
Let's talk about what we can do internally. The president has talked about state police, community police, which for everyone is more sustainable at the end of the day. This could be the big gun to take out, what has festered and has metastasized. Now we need to clean up the space. How far-reaching can that be? If you can do it in 2 minutes, I can take more questions.
I'll take it in 2 minutes. I think what the president, with due respect to him, Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, Mr. President. Now you're out of the country, maybe you'll see later. But we don't have the time for plenty words and little action. If you are going to do state police, the same speed with which you get budget and taxes and all of that pass through your National Assembly, you need to sit down and understand that we're dealing with an essential issue here. But there are issues there. Can they fund it? Have states shown that they have the capability to do it? Will some states have the ability to do it and others not have the ability? Will it not be, a tilting of the balance of power internally? So,
I think it's not debatable. Some states can fund state police.
Exactly. So now that brings to the president or anybody that is leading the country as a unitary system, who is leading the country together, not trying to just pamper to one ethnic group or the other. He must begin to wonder, how do we give them the capability that all can have? Imagine just, for example, Lagos can have state police and Ogun cannot. Then what will happen? All the criminals in Lagos will probably run down to Ogun. What if Ogun can and Oyo cannot? You get it. I'm using our area so that I don't have to offend the sensibility of other people. These are all issues. Then, do you know how long it even takes to even put it together, get the framework, train them and all that? So it's a necessary next step, and they need to hurry with it. That's my point. My point is not that, oh, they're talking about it. My point is that it's urgent even as of yesterday. That's all. The second thing is, we need to look at ourselves straight in the face in the north and tell ourselves that we are not the only Islam practicing or, whatever you want to do there in the world. We can't find anybody misbehaving in Saudi Arabia. We can't find them misbehaving in Qatar. We can't find them misbehaving in Oman. We can't even find them misbehaving internally in Iran. Why would anybody allow radicalization of this nature to be killing our people? People can't even go to their farmlands in the north because of this. There is complicit guilt of all the leaders.
And our people were killed on 24th December, Christmas Eve, in a mosque in Borno State.
Exactly. Well, at what point do we say this is enough? How much more blood must be spilled before even we ourselves that are the Nigerians, whether Northerner, Igbo, whatever I call ourselves, when will we even say enough? Savage don't kill their own children. We can't normalize this. But hey, even in America, I was very clear to the United States. I said, listen, you better remember that when the destabilization of the Sahel took place, when we started losing Libya, where were you thinking they were going to come into? You had a strategy to go in. What was the strategy to contain the movement of small arms? We don't manufacture these kinds of weapons. They all have ISO numbers. Who's manufacturing them? Who's not tracking them? You're wasting too much time telling us, designating people for particular concerns instead of designating the whole country. When you designate the whole country, innocent people are caught. If you have the intelligence to know those who are funding there, those who are backing them, why not do designation of person of particular concern? Use your McKinsey Act to go after the funders.
Let me ask you a direct question so that I can. Do you trust the United States?
I do. The world runs on a lot of conspiracy theories because people like conspiracy theories. But hey, the world, as you know, it is a good place. It's a safe place for everybody because of the United States. That extra that they do, that appears as if they're policing everybody. Imagine if the world didn't have anybody to do that. Do you think whatever it is that the United States is doing to help us stop this, you think Britain does not have the capability to do it, or Russia does not have, or even China does not have? Why didn't they do it? How long were they going to wait for us to just be killing us? People are just dying every day. Okay, so if the United States did not get up, should it last for another 10 years? How long should it last? How many more should we lose?
Because the altruism argument raises its head.
Everybody, listen.
The relics of their help is all over the place. So people, I'm just reporting what people are saying.
I know, but what I'm trying to say to you is that, you see, I wish they were helping. Oh, I wish they could help. Oh, Nigeria is being ignored. Oh, don't our life matters? Now they're trying to do something. If we continue to do our engagement, if we put together a proper cabinet, not the kinds of people that are joking about going all over the place and playing games in the United States and thinking that they're doing anything. I know those people have been there. And I know that the level of conversation you have at that level, the total manpower and resource available to this country for diplomatic engagement, we have not used 1 over 1,000.
We're going to go on a break. When I come back, I'm going to talk to you about the issue of ambassadors' decks and the 2027 general elections before I allow you go. But we'll be right back after this break. Sowunmi is my guest. Stay with us. Welcome back. Tumba Sowunmi. The convener of The Alternative is my guest. We're exploring issues of national importance. We've been talking about national security based on what had played out with the bombing or the strike by the United States government in Sokoto area. Tumba, thank you for staying with us. Question I want to find out from you. Are we really being honest with the diagnosis of our problems?
I think the problem is that we have what you call analysis paralysis. A scenario where, a situation where we analyze, and we keep analyzing, then we analyze and analyze. No. A leader must say, I draw the line here. And you must be ready to go all in, including de-radicalization of even the things they call preachings, a complete reorientation framework to get the people to understand the new deal, ensure that you understand and insist that this is a circular country and must be run circularly. Make sure that those radical elements, the preachers and all that, they get a new memo that not in this country. You got to understand that these things don't go easily. When Britain was dealing with the IRA, it took years. When Spain was dealing with the Barca, it took years. When they were dealing with the issue of PKK, the one around the Turkish Kurdistan Party and all of that, it took years. You have to pray not to get to the point where your human capital has degenerated to such a point that your people are now ready for radicalization. But when they stop dealing with the real issues in the north of human development, of human dignity, of human safety, of human life, what were they thinking will happen eventually? When you start to pump people with ideas that they hear, they can't even analyze. The way you read something that you know, you can think. When you recite something that you don't even know, you're going to be available for all this. And when some other countries are playing the geopolitics of the sub-region, Libya is gone. You have a problem in Syria. Where do you think the human beings are not going to disappear to the Atlantic Ocean? They're going to come into places where they have a bit of enough, people of the same thinking and stay there. So when you blame Nigeria, you also have to know that I've told them in clear, like I hope they hear, it's not enough to come and help us bomb them. You have to open up your bond market to us so that we can have enough money to build those places. We must be able to return people back to where they were, villages that were destroyed. And it's a lot of money. You can't dash us that money. So you as well open up the place so we can get the facilities and go and build it. So our people are not going to be killing themselves if you give them a better life. We need to take the balls out of their hands and put a book there. We need to insist that leaders that have authority over those places must pay consequence for mismanagement of the place.
Okay, let's move on to other issues.
Okay.
It's related to this as well. And one of the things that was raised during this period was the president not, having ambassadors and high commissioners across the commissions or the embassies. Now he has them designated. They've all been, approved and confirmed by the National Assembly. So it's just a question of.
It's a bit disappointing that we have a National Assembly that behaves like this. It is the prerogative of a leader to bring up a list, any list, including a list of lunatics. Insist that
with the greatest respect to everyone.
Yeah. I didn't say, did I mention anybody's name? You said it is his prerogative to bring a list of anybody he likes and says, these are the people I want to go and start representing the country, not me. It is the duty of the National Assembly to look at them with a fine comb and say, not in this country, not in this country, not in this country. When you reduce a serious matter at the time when, forget about the fact that we're even having some help from America. Do you even understand the geopolitical play of the world now? Why you are hearing America say things like they don't want people in the country like that? You're hearing Britain, push back on all of that. And you think that the new play on the world is that you send a bunch of divisive, toxic people to stand in front of the people of the world and say, hey, honky-dory, I'm representing Nigeria. We're not serious now. If they shortlist them because of patronage or whatever, it was the duty of a National Assembly to say, not this, not. A National Assembly that can refuse to clear Nasiru.
The National Assembly's pushback. I remember Senator Ndume and Senator Oshomole had a bit of, back and forth.
They went again.
The issue Ndume was raising was there's no petition before us. So what are we going to act on?
You say this is the thing that, oh God. You
No. I'm relaying what happened.
You really want to cry for us. Have you ever watched them grill people in the Congress in America? Sometimes you don't need a petition. You can always say, ask the kind of questions that allows you to be able to see the kind of, but what did they do? They take it back, in a very disgraceful manner. So what do you want the president to do? Some of those names might have come there because of lobby, because of pressure and all that. But that's why you have a National Assembly. The whole concept of this democracy is beginning to even look like some fraud, because the whole idea of democracy is that we are not creating a civilian monarchy. We're not trying to create a king here. And to prevent a president from becoming a monarch, we created a National Assembly to do oversight. But if they don't do it, what can you say?
My last question to you will be...
What?
Your former party.
What do you mean my former party? Did I ever tell you I've left it?
Okay. You're saying, oh, I didn't do... I always like to do party audit. I'm sorry I didn't do that.
No, the thing is that I'm not the kind of person...
my straight question in answering is, some people have said Bola Tinubu is good to go. Do you believe that?
I think that I always say to people, there's always a pathway to win, but there's also a pathway to lose. I'm interested in this thing. I'm so obsessed with this type of analysis I spend a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of resources just to know. I speak to election management companies the world over just to be able to, you know what you call, they say deep dive. The president has a clear pathway to win, but I swear to God, there's also a pathway to lose. And critical to whether he will win or lose is the backline, not even of the Nigerian state, is the backline of his own party. And I'm dashing him this for free. Do you know what that means? It means that you can't be obsessed with only thinking about how your governors and how your big boys or the ones that come around you behave. You have to think about the people on whose back you win elections, the mass of your people. What have you been able to do for them? What have you been able to make them feel involved? How many of them have you been able to reach? Do you know how many times I go around the country and people will say to me that, we worked with him and we can't even see him. No, I'm not talking about small fries. I'm talking about giants in the political space who the phone doesn't ring anymore. The whole of his infrastructure that he's using to run his admin is so closed in that great people that have things to put on the table can't even access them. Hey, well, okay. The world knows that I'm a very fair-minded person and I want us to have a great nation. Okay. And I see some of the beautiful things he's doing. And I think that on the policy side, there are things that we can say, okay, this is good. But hey, Mr. President, be not deceived. There's always a pathway to win, and clearly there's a pathway to lose. Okay, you've given him two options. Definitely this conversation will bring you to talk 1 hour, because it's definitely not enough. Otumba Sowunmi, the convener of the alternative. Of the alternative. Thank you so much for coming. I always appreciate it. It's always a pleasure. Thank you. Give my rub to Sowunmi that is on holiday. He's enjoying his family. You can work hard. All right.